In the years that followed New Zealand's ban on nuclear weapons in its ports, New Zealand's governments of the left and right staked out a new foreign policy for the country. They forged, they forged deeper diplomatic ties with New Zealand's closest neighbors, the small island countries of the Pacific, and traded more with a rising Asia. But it was only semi aligned with the West, according to Helen Clark, who served as Prime Minister from 1999 to 2008. It avoided getting involved with the war in Iraq, but sent special forces to help NATO fight the Taliban in Afghanistan. It also got rich. In 2008, Miss Clark's government signed a free trade agreement with China. The pact, which removed 98% of Chinese tariffs on New Zealand's exports, spared it the worst effects of the global financial crisis. But most of New Zealand's exports to China are highly substitutable agricultural goods, making it vulnerable to economic coercion. And as trade with China grew, so did other links between the two, not all of them benign. Under Labour governments from 2017 to 2023, prompted by intelligence agency warnings, New Zealand cracked down on Chinese attempts to interfere in its politics. It tightened an investment screening process and banned foreign campaign donations. Although maligned by some critics as the weak link in the Five Eyes, intelligence experts from the other members say that New Zealand's security services are solid. The agencies are small but do good work in the Pacific Islands and in intercepting adversaries' internet and satellite communications. There have been no embarrassing counterintelligence lapses. It is on defense that New Zealand's long estrangement from America has prevented it from making more of a contribution to upholding the rules based order in Asia. Mr. Luxon seems ready to change that. The sailing through the Taiwan Strait, which was followed by multilateral exercises in the South China Sea, is one example. New Zealand has also stepped up its contribution to the multinational task force working to prevent North Korean oil smuggling. The task force's work has angered China, even though it is operating under the authority of a UN Security Council resolution, because China fears that it is also snooping on them. And Mr. Luxon has continued some of the Labour government's earlier tentative moves in this direction, including a look at joining AUKUS, the defense pact signed in 2021 between Australia, America, and Britain. New Zealand's New Zealand wouldn't take part in efforts to develop nuclear powered submarines for Australia, but it might join the pact's second pillar, focused on advanced defense technologies. Critics like Miss Clark say that none of these is in New Zealand's interests, semi alignment has served New Zealand well. It takes longer to fly from Auckland to Beijing than from Beijing to London. We are a long way south and very remote, she says. But Chinese attempts to sign Pacific Island countries up to security agreements over the past 3 years and suspicions regarding China's expanded presence on Antarctica mean that even New Zealand cannot stay out of the way of geopolitics. If Mr. Luxon wants to be more than a bystander, however, he will face real constraints. New Zealand's defense force is smaller than that of any of America's allies or partners in Asia. Its army can muster no more than a brigade. Its air force gave up fighter jets decades ago. Good for the New Zealanders. And its navy is down to 8 ships, following an accident which saw a survey vessel sink off the coast of Samoa on October 6th. The government plans to release a defense capabilities plan later this month. Mr. Luxon will not be drawn on the report's recommendations before its release, but its choices will reveal much about how far it is willing to go, according to David Cappy at Victoria University of Wellington. If naval plans focus on small patrol boats, for example, it would suggest a force concerned with its neighborhood and tied to New Zealand's semi aligned foreign policy. If it opts to invest in higher end capabilities like frigates, however, that would signal a New Zealand ready to do more with Australia and America to uphold the rules based order. One seemingly inexhaustible resource is Mr. Luxon. 10 months into office, the new Prime Minister has already visited America, Japan, South Korea, and half of the countries of Southeast Asia. Each is at least a 12-hour flight from Wellington, the capital. When your correspondent interviewed Mr. Luxon, he was in Laos. Asked about his travel schedule, Mr. Luxon shrugs. Prior to politics, he spent 7 years as CEO of Air New Zealand. And this is the chart at the bottom of the world. Defense spending 2023 in billions of dollars. Selected US allies and security partners. The first is Japan, 1.2% of GDP. The second, South Korea, with 2.8%. Australia, 1.9%. Canada, 1.3%. Taiwan, 2.2%. Singapore, 2.7, Philippines 1.3, and New Zealand, the last one, 1.2% of GDP. Okay, how nice. Eh? They don't want to spend it on arms and missiles.